You are most known for UFC's first ever double champion, notorious Conor McGregor. He's obviously worked alongside with yourself and has won since he's had you along his corner. Welcome to Keys to the Queendom, my friend. How are you?
I'm good, happy to be here. That was a great intro, yeah.
You've become an undisputed cage contender as well, world champion.
Growing up as a kid, I always loved martial arts. I always watched, Bruce Lee and stuff like that.
What advice would you give people to that, where there's other people telling them they should stop?
You know what? So,
welcome to the Queendom. And we are here with Keys to the Queendom. I'm so excited to announce Owen Roddy, a professional mixed martial artist for over 10 years. Ranked number 1 in Ireland, number 3 in Europe. You've become an undisputed cage contender as well, world champion, winning so many defending titles, I believe 3, as well as you've worked with some amazing people such as Gunnar Nelson, Artem Lebov, Leah McCourt. Oh my God, so many people to name. But of course, my friend, you are most known for your work with UFC's first ever double champion, notorious Conor McGregor. He's obviously worked alongside with yourself and has won since he's had you along his corner. Welcome, Keys to the Queendom, my friend. How are you?
I'm good, happy to be here. That was a great intro, yeah. It's been a wild ride, a crazy life, something that I didn't expect, but I stuck to my guns, I suppose, and it took me all around the world. Very, very fortunate, very happy with my career as a fighter and career as a coach now as well. So, loving life.
Hey, it's beautiful to hear that, just because I know I've watched a lot of your YouTube videos. Your story's remarkable. What I really love, and a lot of people that come into Keys to the Queendom, have come from nothing. They've built this beautiful journey and their story, and I think this is just really, it resonates with a lot of our listeners, because you are who you are, where you are now, based on what you've been through.
Yeah.
And I think you've said it yourself too. Do something you love for a living, you'll never work a day in your life. Do you believe in that?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. Well, I think if you do something you love, you'll work harder and be happier doing so. It's not like you'll never work a day in your life, because you know yourself. We get up early, we finish late, we give it our all every day. But when you're enjoying it, I think it's a bit easier to do, and it's a bit easier to give yourself to push a little bit more, do the extra hours, and get up on the Sunday and get up early Saturday morning when people are lying in bed, or stay working late Saturday evening. But I think you have to make those sacrifices if you want to be successful. And I started off in my mixed martial arts career with that kind of mentality to give it my all and see where it took me. And I was very successful as a fighter, and the skills that I learned in through mixed martial arts, I carried them with me through my whole career, whether it was coaching, and then now at the moment I'm moving into different businesses and stuff like that. And that mentality, that work rate is being carried on into everything,
I can't wait to hear about all your new business ventures.
Yeah.
I have to share this just because I spoke about it in past episodes, but when I emailed you, I did say, I love the mentality of fighters. When I went through being bashed by a girl, I walked into a fighter's gym.
Right.
I was 21. And for me, that was a bit of a pinnacle moment. And I don't know, since then, I've just had this beautiful respect for fighters, their journey, their resilience, their mindset. And for yourself, I feel like a lot of listeners would love to hear more about your fighter's journey, where you've come from.
Yeah.
And again, this is not about me. I just want to let people hear your story as a fighter and what you've been through. I walked into the gym when I was 21 because I was bashed. But for you, it's how did you become a fighter? What was your story?
So same, I've got a bit of a mad story growing up. Well, I grew up in an area, in Dublin, a really rough area called Ballymun. Yeah, it was It was hit with a heroin epidemic in the late 80s and early 90s. So it was a really rough area. Fortunately enough, with both parents, I had a lovely family, and I was brought up great. But in Ballymun, you were in fights very regularly, and it was a really tough area, and you had to learn to fight. Um, you know, growing up with a group of friends, you'd get into scuffles and fights with other groups and stuff. And it was a bit rough growing up through the years. But eventually, I found a video of UFC one, which was many years ago, and watched that, and I fell in love with mixed martial arts. I seen this guy, Royce Gracie, very very skinny guy like myself, go in, and he had the ability to beat these really big guys, and I was like, you know what, I'd love to learn that, and really really learn how to defend myself properly. So I went searching for a gym, couldn't find one anywhere. It wasn't very it wasn't done back in Ireland. There was nobody teaching mixed martial arts. I managed to find a small gym, a couple of guys training, and those guys that were training was what turned out to be my head coach, John Cabinet. Yeah, I started training under him, fell in love with it. I was addicted straight away. And I gave it everything. The meantime, I was working as well, a part-time job, driving forklifts, and I was getting up at 6 a.m., driving the forklift till about 3 p.m. Then I was driving into town, doing my training with John, going on teaching classes. Then later on in the evening, and then back to training again. So it was tough, but as I said earlier, when you love something, you're willing to make those sacrifices. Within a year or so, I was fighting professionally. And before I knew it, I was all in. I quit the job. I remember it was a decent enough job. I was asked to take a promotion, and it would have been decent money. And I remember talking to the boss, and I was like, says, "Oh, you want to take this promotion? Be good for you. You move up the ladder." And I was like, "No, I'm going to give it up. I'm going to become a mixed martial artist." And he was like, "What even is that?" I says, "It's cage fighting." He says, "That's crazy." He says, "You have a good job here. Are you mad?" And I was like, I just went with my gut. I went with what I loved, and became a professional fighter for a very high level for many years. I was regarded as one of the best in the country and one of the best in Europe for a long time. And eventually, Jesus, what happened then was I was fighting. I was close to being signed to the UFC. That was the goal I set out when I wanted to fight. I said, I want to get to the UFC. I want to get enough money to buy a house, and I'll be happy. My last fight, I was fighting a really really high level guy. I lost in the third round, but I fought very well in the fight. I thought I could have won. Anyway, I remember putting up on Facebook. I was like, I lost this fight, but I've learned a lot, and I know for a fact when I come back, I'm gonna make it to the UFC. Conor was at the making it to the UFC just, I think, a month or two previously, so I was very motivated. And then I found out I had a couple of injuries, and fortunately, then I was forced to retire, which was heartbreaking. You set a goal out, you dedicate your whole life to this one goal, and then unfortunately it gets taken away from you. So I spent about 6 or 7 months trying to find ways around it, talking to doctors, talking to people about the injuries, and seeing if I could, get around them. Unfortunately, it wasn't to be. So after about 6 months of trying to find a way around it, I had to accept that the fighting career was over. And then I was at a kind of crossroads. I was like, do I go back to do an everyday job or whatever, or do I try and veer off and keep in the same sport, and I try and find a new path? And that's when I decided to become a coach. It felt natural enough to go from fighting. I was always coaching in the gym, but it was a natural progression for me to go from fighter to a coach. To be completely honest, I started working with Conor. I was a sparring partner with Conor for many years, and when I became a coach, I took up the role of his strike coach. And the rest is kind of history now. We've been on it's been a wild ride for the last 15 years. You know, I'm very grateful for the career I've had, you know, both as a fighter and as a coach now currently.
I want to connect the dot.
Yeah.
So many beautiful moments. First off, the town you grew up, you said it was was it Heroin, did you say?
Yeah, so Ballymun, if, you know, people from Dublin and people from Ireland would know that Ballymun was a really, really disadvantaged area. Heroin came into the area in the late 80s and 90s, and, you know, people didn't really know where it was. You know, kids were just trying it once off, and before you knew it, the whole place was overrun with heroin. A lot of addicts all over the street, and a lot of people not walking and stuff. And it was really, I'm not going to say it was tough. It was a rough area, but best memories I had growing up in Ballymun. The community was always great. The people were great, but just, you know, unfortunately, you know, there wasn't a lot of work for people, and drugs hit the area, and people got caught up in it, and you know, it was hard. You know, a lot of my friends now, a lot of the lads I grew up with, you know, most of them are dead. You know, from drug abuse, or they're in prison, or, you know. So I don't see many of my friends anymore. If maybe one, two friends that I grew up with all my life that kind of made it out unscathed. But, you know, I think going from that, it builds character. It builds that resilience. You know, you also come from an area like that, you kind of grow up with a bit of a chip on your shoulders, and you're kind of not expected to do much, so you're out to kind of prove everybody wrong. But, you know, a lot of great people came from where I came from.
Queen, how often have you said, I spent my whole life studying, I've been to school my whole life, and I've actually learned nothing that teaches me the tools and strategies to build a successful business in the outside world. You've probably spent thousands of dollars on courses, or you've heard fake news from business gurus. Well, I'm here to give this incredible news to everyone here right now, that this is Queen Stream University. Get out of debt and actually start making money in the online space, knowing and having the foundations to build a successful business. Now, I'm talking because I have gone through the trenches. I have been a fitness coach, built my online business as a pro athlete, and now I am a business coach. You'll go from having absolutely no idea what your business is through, in the 8 weeks, learn the foundations of knowing what your purpose is, your vision and mission, and also understanding your business values with the execution to know what that business is. You'll also learn branding, social media, content strategy, marketing, and more importantly, how to sell. With Queen Stream University, it'll cut out the bullshit and remove all the fluff and get you working specifically on your business so you can execute this in 8 weeks to get ready to launch. I wanted you to have something where you get to access something straight away, where you get to fast track your growth, as well as remove any doubt, any overwhelming sensation or stress, or the question that everyone seems to ask, where do I begin? With Queen Stream University, you'll be able to build wealth, freedom, and at the end of the day, be an entrepreneur and be able to say, I have finally built my own thing, my own business. And I've stopped making money for someone else, and I'm now making money for my own empire. Queen Stream University. You know, you said prove people wrong. My upbringing was a little bit rough as well, and I'm half German, half Brazilian.
Okay.
And European background. My grandma was very much wanting me to be, you know, a doctor, a scientist. You know, I started in the professional industry as a classical trained dancer, actor, moved into fitness. And so when I told her, I was like, this is what I want to be, you know, she was very, very disappointed. So I don't know what you said you had a beautiful childhood, which I think is beautiful.
Yeah.
You know, your parents probably supported your journey, or what was that like?
They didn't really know what I was doing. It was crazy. My mom was like, I used to come in after a training session with like a black eye, busted nose, and split lip, and she's like, what are you doing? What's going on here? Like, I says, I'm doing mixed martial arts. I'm going to be a fighter. She said, please, do not keep that up, and, you know, go back to college or whatever. I I was scheduled to go into college just when I finished school. I was pretty good at animation and stuff like that. I liked drawing and stuff. And she wanted me to do that, but it just wasn't for me, you know. But I used to come in every day. My dad was like, "What is wrong with you? You're going in there getting punched around every day of the week. For what?" We weren't getting paid. The money was terrible, but it wasn't really about the money. But, you know, my mum and dad always supported me no matter what. And although they weren't too eager for me to do mixed martial arts, you know, they got behind me and supported me either way, you know.
That's beautiful. And I think that's a massive thing there, you know, the fact that you were supported throughout your journey, you found mixed martial arts, you know, at what point, and I bring this up because I don't know if people were born to be fighters or, you know, you can become a fighter based on, you know, discipline, commitment, hard work, that drive. And I know you speak a lot about belief. Was that something that was always in there with you when you found this sport?
Yeah, you know what? It was weird. Even growing up as a kid. Now, my older brother Noel, he done traditional martial arts, so he was a brown belt, and I tried that when I was a kid for a little bit. I liked it, but I fell out over it, and then I took up soccer. I had soccer for a good few years. I was half decent playing soccer. Played for my local team in Ballymun. Did okay, and then eventually I took a few years off sports, went out and acted the mess a little bit around Ballymun, got into a little bit of trouble here and there, but nothing too major. And then obviously fell back into mixed martial arts. But always growing up as a kid, I always had this belief. I always loved martial arts. I always watched, you know, Bruce Lee and stuff like that. But in my head, I always thought I was the best fighter ever. Like, and I hadn't got a clue. I didn't know how to fight. But in my mind, I was like, I could just do this and do that. Now, when I started mixed martial arts, I found out that I actually couldn't fight pretty quickly. But, you know, the belief was kind of there, you know. And I think we all have that. I think I don't know what it is, but in my mind, it was like, I used to say, trying to prove everybody else wrong. But I think, you know, realistically, I was trying to prove to myself that I could do these things. I could, you know, I could set a goal and achieve it, and that was kind of inherent. That was in me, you know. So I think a lot of fighters have that.
I mean, I think it's 90% of your fights you've won, which is exciting.
Yeah.
How did John Kavanagh come about in your life?
So same again. I met John that one day. I was looking for a gym, and I walked into this gym, and a couple of big guys there, and I was kind of 60 odd kilos. So I was a small, skinny kid, and I seen a small guy, about 65, close to my weight, and I was like, nah, I'll try and go against this fella. He looks small. I reckon I could take him. That turned out to be John, and I was like, John, I was like, how you doing, pal? Can I match up with you? And he's like, no, we're going to go with the big guys. I was like, oh, who does this fella think he is? And then I watched him, and he just submitted everybody within seconds. And I was like, thank God I dodged the bullet there. I went over talking to him, and we had a mutual friend called Dave Roach, who was well known in Ballymun, where I grew up. He was known to be a good street fighter, and Dave introduced me to him and told me he had a gym in Phibsborough. And I went out to Phibsborough. I started training with John. You know, John was phenomenal. He's a very intelligent coach, very smart. And I was training under him for a couple of months, I think it was. Couldn't really afford to do it, you know. I was scrimping and scraping to $5 a session and I was trying to get up there every day, twice a day. So I was trying my best to pay every session. I asked Dave to ask John, could he do me a better deal? John always laughs about this. He was like, "Oh, you were paying little or nothing, and you still wanted another deal." So John came back to me and he was like, "I tell you what, if you clean the mats, clean the gym once a week, you can train for free." So I done that for a few years. Came up, cleaned the mats, did a really terrible job of it, and John led me away with the fees. And then before long, you know, he could see how dedicated I was. He could see that, you know, that twinkle in the eye that I was here to stay and I wanted to go places. So he gave me a job teaching the kids classes once or twice a week. And from then on, I'm sure he was sick of seeing me on the mat. I was there 24/7, every morning session, every evening session, then teach it. And, the relationship grew. And, he's been my coach ever since, great coach, great mentor, a great friend,
When you said, because I'm 5'2", I'm a very little human being, and I'm Southpaw, by the way, just so you know.
Love it.
I
Southpaws are the
know,
best, yeah.
No.
Yeah.
So when you're coming up to him and going, I want to like spar or fight with you, like how big is he? And compared to your height, like you're quite tall too, right?
No, John is my height. I think we might be a tiny bit shorter than me, so he's not that intimidating until you see him on the mat. Like he's a very friendly guy, very nice guy, real happy-go-lucky. And it's weird because you could, and the flip of the switch, he could kill you in an instant. So, but very approachable guy, very nice guy, and I think he was just looking at me because I would have been a lot skinnier back then, and he's like, this kid from Ballymoney, thinks he's gonna go all the way. But John always says, like, he doesn't judge people straight off the bat. People will always ask him, did this guy have it from day one? And he's like, people have lots of talents at the start, but come back at me in 6 or 7 months, and if they're still there, then I can have a better assessment. And I'd say that was the case with me. He's seen I never left the mat. As soon as he said, "Oh, you clean the mats once a week and you can train every session," I trained every session, without a doubt, and I think he could see that determination in me,
I think that's a big message there, because a lot of people say they want to be number one. They want to be a successful fighter. They want to be professional. They want to obviously win the title, but then there's the talk, but then it's the walk, which for you, I know you talk a lot about the commitment level and the belief and all that kind of stuff and proving your worth.
Yeah.
For yourself, when it came to obviously being that professional fighter, that first moment, what was your greatest pinnacle moment that you really remember that you hold to your heart, and what was one of your hardest times as a fighter too?
Every day as a fighter, especially when you're starting out, is tough. It's a battle of the mind, because it's okay going in and getting, you start out, you're at the bottom of the barrel. Everyone there is training a little bit longer than you, and you go in and you get submitted, and you go home and you have to look at yourself in the mirror, because we all look at ourselves in the mirror thinking that, we're the best at this and best at that, blah, blah, blah. But the thing is, with mixed martial arts, you have to go in and prove it on the mat every day. And your ego gets tested on a daily basis, and you get humbled on a daily basis. And, at the start, I got submitted. I don't, can't count how many times I've been submitted over the first 6 or 7 months of training. And you have to get up every day, and, you don't want to do it. You don't want to go in there and get beat up again, but you have to look at yourself in the mirror and say, look, this is where it's going to take. You're going to have to take the falls in order to, to climb the ladder, and I think that the pinnacle moment for me was proving to myself early on in my career that I could do it, that I could get up every morning after losing 1,000 times, and face it again and not be deterred, and not be taken back too much by your losses. I think a lot of the time, people would be afraid to even start with the fear of losing, and this is something that I always keep in my mind. I try and teach my kids as well. Like, you have to go out and get comfortable with losing, because it's on the other side of your losses, on the other side of that fear and that failure, that all the success is, So for me, early on in my career, one of those pinnacle moments was proving to myself that I could stick this out, because it was very tough at the start, and, your ego gets beat up. So for me, after 6 or 7 months, still being on the mat, I was like, okay, I can do this now. Then it's about setting little attainable goals. Like, this guy, let's say I'm rolling with this guy and he talked to me within 10 seconds. I would go home that night and I was like, I promise you, it's going to take him at least 11 seconds to catch me tomorrow. And then it took him 11 seconds. Then it's like, okay, I'm going to get to 3 minutes of the round. He's not going to catch me for 3 minutes. And then he doesn't catch me for 3 minutes. then it's like, I'm going to be on the attack for half of this round the next time. So I used to have these small little goals, and I just try my best to attain them, Before you know it, you're like, okay, this round now, I'm going to get this going. I'm going to hopefully submit them. And then you eventually submit them, and then you pick your next goal. So yeah, one of the pinnacle moments is, proving to myself that I could stick it out. But I've had so many highlights, getting my black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and it's funny. Conor just got his black belt last night, so now if he sees this, congratulations. I already wish him a big congratulations, but it's been a long road for him as well. But getting your black belt is a huge achievement. It takes a long time. It took me about 15 years, I think, to get my black belt. And that's it, day in, day out on the mat. It just it shows that with dedication, hard work, and perseverance, everything is attainable. So getting my black belt would have been another really, really pinnacle moment for me, and a huge moment in my career.
So to give you a bit of context, I want to share this because I feel like it's so important for people to hear this. We want success yesterday, right? Yeah. I'm an impatient person, and I know this. Yet I just love what you just explained around, your willingness, not only just like being so humble in the moment and letting not your ego take over, which I can tell you now that has been a moment where when I reach a level of success, I'm like, watch me go. And then something happens and it just sort of brings me down. And it's almost like a realization and a moment for the universe to go, tomorrow, like, stay authentic, stay true to yourself. A lot of people want success all the time, and they're not willing to do the work. They're not willing to be patient. Perseverance is key. The fact that Conor just got his black belt recently for yourself, it's been 15 years. There's this quote that I read the other day. I think it was something like a famous runner, trained 4 years to win a race that he, beat a world record of 9 seconds, and people give up. In life or in businesses or in fight after 4 months of not getting anywhere. When it comes to the advice for people listening around perseverance and continuing on, because, you became professional fighter after 1 year.
Yeah.
And then it was kind of like, well, you still had to earn your stripe. You still had to keep going. Yeah. How did you still keep that ego down, working with Conor McGregor, being where you are now, but still being humble, still true to yourself, still being like, well, you have to start from the beginning, work your way up to be where you want to be. What's the advice you give to young entrepreneurs out there, that want the success now, but they are not?
Unfortunately, it doesn't come overnight. There is no overnight success. It just doesn't happen. Overnight success, people don't see what's done behind the scenes, and anything worth having is, you have to work hard for it, for me, it took me, as I said, 15 years to get my black belt, which, I was over the moon with, I became a professional within a year, but that was only because you had to fight professional. There was no other amateur scene back in the day, but I still fought for 10 years, and I won and I lost in those 10 to 15 years of competing as a professional fighter. I still learned my stripes, and I still got up every day, and got submitted by my teammates and beat them sometimes and lost sometimes, and it's up and down, and life is up and down, and business is up and down, everything. There is no straight trajectory to the top. You climb, you fall a little bit. You climb, you fall a little bit. You climb, you fall a little bit. But I think if you stay true to yourself, you give it 100%. It's something that I always done. I could always look at myself in the mirror, whether I failed in certain things, which I failed a lot, and I've succeeded, but I failed probably a lot more than I've succeeded. But I always look at myself in the mirror and I say, like, did I give it 100%? And it really, I really do this now with Conor. Like, Conor fights on the biggest stage, and there's a lot of pressure. Although as a professional fighter, there was a lot of pressure. it's different when you're coaching, the biggest draw in sports entertainment, and the biggest draw in combat sports. There's 5 or 6 million pay-per-view boys. There's 20,000 people in the arena. It's going out worldwide, and a lot of pressure on. But I always look at myself in the mirror and I say, "Oh, did you give it 100%? With the opponent? Did you watch all the tape? Did you study the openings? Did you study the attacks that he potentially, come with? Did you make every session? Were you present in every session? Were you focused? Were you, did you ever take your eye on the ball, off the ball? No. So, I go in to everything that I do, whether it's coaching, whether it was pointing, and now with it being, the businesses that I set up. I gave it 100%. And if I can honestly look myself in the mirror and say I gave it 100%, then that's all you can do. Sometimes we fail, but you get up the next morning and you go, you try again, or you look at the problem, the mistakes that you made, you look for a solution, and then you apply the solution, and you go again, and you just keep doing it. And that's it. It's a tough road, but I just think if you can give it 100%, then look at yourself honestly in the mirror and say you gave it 100%. You can't ask for more than that,
I love that, because it's a question a lot of people don't realize. They think I should have won. I should have been the number one. And then it's that, well, but actually, did you do all the steps, the tools, the strategies? And thank you for bringing.
And even at that, you can give it 100%. You can do it all. No, you can have a perfect training camp. You can set up your business, do everything perfect. And, sometimes it just doesn't work out. And especially in fighting. Fighting can be very cruel. Like, you can go in with your A game and you can have the best camp. And just sometimes the other guy gets the win. And I always tell my fighters and tell people not to focus on the result of the fight, because it's out of your hands. You can't determine whether you're going to win or lose. But what you can focus on is whether you're going to give it 100% or whether you have given it 100%. And I take that into everyday life. The new businesses that I'm involved in, been up and down and very rocky as well, and they still are. But I get up every morning. I have my game. I have my things to do. I do them. Or I go to bed. I review everything. I set my next couple of goals. I get up the next morning and I do them, and I do it every day. And if you do that, most of the time it works out.
The needle moves, and it's a big message, because failure is feedback, and I find that more and more, and you can probably relate, like the more we fail, it's like, great, there's some more work for me to do here. What is it? Before I go into, obviously, more about how you and Conor McGregor came about, I really just want to touch more around, because I've been through being a professional dancer, professional athlete in bodybuilding, then veering coaching. I know that was a massive change for myself. It was almost like an old part of me died for me to be born into becoming a coach. Now, obviously, a new purpose in life.
Yeah, I felt that.
Right?
Yep.
How was that for you, transitioning obviously from a professional fighter, letting go? And I love that you tried every single thing. Like, you're like, no, I'm taking no, not taking no for an answer.
You know what? As I said, that was my goal. When you set a goal and you're there, I was right there. I was ready to go. I had the gloves on, and I was ready to do it. And then I got whipped out from underneath my feet. And it was a dark time as well for me. It was really I was very upset. I didn't know where to go. I was lost. I was talking to my wife and, young kids at the time, and everything based on this. I put all the eggs in one basket, and it got whipped out from underneath me. But then you have to be able to adapt, and adaptability is another crucial thing to have when you're in business. Things ain't always going to go smoothly, and sometimes you start on this road and you end up on a completely different path. And this is what happened to me. I set out to be a professional fighter, and I became a very highly successful professional coach. But just getting back to the transition. One thing I found was I always still wanted to fight. I would be in the cage and I was like, I'd love to get in and do it. I'd love to be doing it myself. And it took a long time for that to kind of subside. And then the other thing is, whatever about being a fighter, I think individual sports, and especially individual combat sports, I think we're a bit selfish. I don't class myself as selfish, but when you do a sport by yourself, it's all on you. You get all the glory, but you have to do all the work. So it's a good trade off. And when you're fighting for yourself, that's all on you. And for me, when I'll give it 100%. I'll leave it all in there. But then when you become a coach, it's out of your hands. So it's a little bit more difficult. It's like you feel all the same nerves, but you haven't got control. You can't go in there and do it for them. So it's like letting your child off into the big bad world, and all you can do is fall back on your prep. Fall back on, did I give it everything? Did I do all my due diligence with this opponent? Did we do the research? Did we get to go our prep as best as we can? Did the fighter give it 100%? And if you tick all those boxes, then you go in and you roll the dice and you just fall back on your prep and I hope that it sees you through. And as I said, when most of the time it will see you through,
I think there was an episode I was listening to you and you're like, you just want to jump in and be like, if I was the fighter, but I'm the coach, and I just can't.
I'm only going to do it for them. Yeah, I'll jump in and I'll do it. It is crazy, but this, and it took a long time for me to get used to that. I've been coaching now retired, so I'm 40 now. So, I retired when I was 29. So I'm coaching full time 11 years now. So, and I still want to jump into the cage and help my guys.
Yeah. Sounds like you're still like a young soul at heart when it comes to that, which means there's so much more for you to give, right?
Yeah, 100%, man. I'm going to be on this train till the wheels fall off, I suppose.
Yeah, I don't see you stopping, and it's very inspiring. I really resonate so much with that.
Yeah.
And I feel, obviously coming into, maybe your true purpose was to be this professional coach, and, you coming into, notorious Conor McGregor, which fuck me dead. Sorry for swearing. But does that ever go, do you still just go what?
Yeah.
Thank you, universe, but fuck, how did that all come about?
Yeah, it just, what, as I said, Conor came into the gym a couple of years after me, and very young kid, good boxing, very confident, and, although, I was confident in my ability, and I was confident in the fact that I put the work in, I was good. Conor came in with this confidence from day one. Yeah. And he just he just believed he would go in. He had no jiu-jitsu or anything like that, so he was a good boxer, but he had no other skills. But within a couple of months, he same again. He was dedicated. He turned up every time, but he always had that belief. And within a couple of months, he started getting good at jiu-jitsu and started getting good at his wrestling. And before you knew it, he was just really good everywhere. I know he was finishing off. I was coming to the end of my career. Both southpaws, so I would have done a lot of pad work with him. And while we were still training together, and I just took up the role as the pad man and the striking coach. And we could always see that he had something extra. And then with the good work ethic and with the good work ethic, we knew we could go far. And we had this belief, and I think his belief kind of brushed off on all of us. It was forced to get to the UFC. And then after he got to the UFC, about 5 or 6 guys from the same group that was training together, they all got signed to the UFC. He kind of brought, he opened the doors for everyone in Ireland and kept them open, and the floodgates were open and all the Irish came in. But just looking over the years of coaching, it's been a crazy journey. As I said, I came from Ballymun, and you're not expected to do much. You're not expected to come out Ballymun realistically. And here's me, traveling the world, on private jets and, yachts, super yachts, and, cornering in the biggest fights, of the last 10, 15 years, A-list celebrities everywhere. And it's just bizarre. And I look back now and I'm like, I can't believe the life I've lived. There's a bit of luck involved, but I think luck finds you when you work very hard. I've always worked very hard, and I think that's why I've achieved what I have, and that's why I've been part of this crazy journey.
It's interesting, because when you find someone like him, strong character, has this belief,
Yeah.
and you watch it in movies, and you see this person come along, and they may not have the best skill set, but they have that fire, they have that certainty and belief.
Yeah.
And I know you had that yourself when your coach saw that in you.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, obviously a lot of now fighters come along and they have the same sort of maybe belief and whatnot, but obviously there was that special something in him that you saw him. It probably reflected a lot in what you saw in yourself and what your group saw in you. So what was, I guess, that spark that
you know
saw?
what? I think like everyone can come into a gym and, say that they're going to be the best fighter in the world. But it all falls, and it's great to have that belief in yourself. But that's nothing unless you work hard. And you know what? Whatever about Conor's belief in the beginning, or my belief, or every fighter's belief, it's hard to have that belief when you get beat up every day for the first year or two of your life, and it'll all fall back to the perseverance and trusting the process. Nothing happens overnight, and unfortunately, kids these days, we're looking for instant gratification, and you get it from your phone. You get a couple of likes on your picture, you get a couple of likes on TikTok, and it's almost instant gratification. But all the stuff that's that's worthwhile, all the meaningful stuff, that all comes from hard work and trusting the process, and knowing that if you get up every morning, you fail a few times, you look at the problem, you look at the mistake, you find a solution to that mistake, you go back in at the same problem with that solution, and you go at it again. If you keep doing that every day of the week, you will succeed. The belief, it's great that Conor had the belief, but it's always down to the work ethic that he put in. One thing that he done more than most people was he would train, 2 or 3 times a day, but then he would be watching tape non-stop, visualizing, moves and stuff like that 24/7. So you do 6 hours of training, 2 in the morning, 2 in the afternoon, 2 in the evening. He's doing 6 hours of physical training, and then he's watching tape for 6 hours. So he was still double the work, you know what I mean? And they say now visualization, the brain fires the same kind of synapses and as it would as if he were doing physical work, So I think the visualization part of things, and he visualized himself winning the belt way before he won the belt. I remember having a conversation with him after Jose Aldo defended the belt, and he was like, Jose Aldo was the best fighter in the world at the time, pound per pound. And I talked to him on the mat. I was like, "What do you think of Aldo last night? It was phenomenal." He was like, I'd knock him out. I will knock him out." And I was like, I thought he was a bit mad. I was like, Jesus, like, Conor, you're not even a world champion yourself. Yeah, you're not even in the UFC, and you think you're going to knock him out. He's like, and the same thing, he's like, so I see myself catching him and knocking him out. 5 years down the line, we're in the cage and he does it in 12 seconds. So I think maybe visualization is something that he done a little bit more than everybody else. And a lot of the time you put it out to the universe, you speak it into existence. It's something that he does as well. Speaks it out loud, speaks it into existence, puts the hard work in behind the scenes, and makes it happen.
A lot of stuff just came up because for myself, my dad was in the military, so growing up for me as a little girl, for him it was like, if you're not number one, if you're not in front of your dance recital, you're a failure. So I used to have this resentment against him for being
Yeah.
so hard on me.
Yeah.
And I look back and go, you know what? I'm really grateful that I had that someone backing me. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not the most healthiest, right? But I feel like that sort of creates this high achiever level, a lot of pressure on myself, but then, I execute things,
Yeah.
whatever. Whereas for him, and I love this because there's the manifestation behind it with obviously a lot of people do utilize that, but then it's the action that comes with it. And then I have to be honest with you, Owen, I watched his documentary, and before that I was a little bit, I don't want to say I was judging him, but he had this way of portraying himself. But when you watch his documentary, there was obsession, there was discipline. But I reflect back on what I was going through as a child and what my dad used to do, and I go, well, fuck, like that. Look where he is now. Like he was a leader. He had discipline. He had resilience.
Yeah.
He believed in himself. Everything that a person would want in themselves. Did you have the same obsession in you when it came to you being a fighter as well as a coach,
Yeah.
and advice to other people when it comes to being in that sort of mindset?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I think it goes back to trying to prove to yourself that you can do. I don't know what it was in me. I always, maybe I was a bit, I wasn't growing up as a kid. I probably wasn't the most confident.
Yeah.
I would be a little bit quiet and stuff like that. But I always wanted to prove that I could be good at something or good at whatever I did, And the only way I found that I could be good was by outworking people.
Yeah.
And for me, the belief came with the work ethic. I think
Yeah.
it was the opposite of Conor, or maybe he worked very hard, knowing that, and then he had the belief before he met him. But for Conor, he had the belief from day one. Went in and
Yeah.
he, I'm going to be the world champion day one. For me, I didn't have the belief. It was with the work ethic I got the belief, and so I think there's a good contrast between myself and himself. Um, he believed and then worked with that belief. I worked hard and got the belief from it. So yeah, it's interesting.
And how is he now? Obviously with what he's been through. I'd love to know more about your, so many questions. I want to talk about your training camp, your business goals, your careers. Is there anything that
Yeah.
he's working on?
Yeah, well, we're going into camp now. Hopefully for a fight towards the end of the year, or maybe early next year. We're scheduled to fight Michael Chandler. We were on the TV show The Ultimate Fighter there recently, and so the two teams fought. We got one champion, and they got another champion. So and then Conor and Chandler are supposed to fight each other in the coming months. So he'll get back into camp. He's just started camp now. That'll go on till Christmas, or maybe a little bit after Christmas. So that's the next goal. But touching back on the documentary, I think it's great to give people a look into the more human side of Conor. Conor is this superstar, and he's he wears the suits and he's flashy and he's got the boats and the cars and all of that, and it all looks like fun and games. And then you see what he's went through in the background with injuries and leg breaks and being very low and hitting rock bottom and climbing back up. That takes so much guts to be able to do that. Like it's very, very hard for you to be, the whole world is watching you. Wherever about anyone else, you fight and there's pressure on you, but there's no pressure like the pressure that he's under. And, he manages to carry it all on his back. And with all the injuries, with all the lows, he still turns up. He still puts it all on the line and still goes out and manages to perform. And I did the documentary. I really enjoyed it because it really showed the more human side of him. And I think a lot of more people can relate to him now as well. Yeah. So yeah, I thought he did a really good job on that doc.
I have to be completely honest. I loved it, and I actually want to be completely transparent. Like I never want to judge anyone based on not knowing them, you know, and I think it's such a big thing to talk about. Like, who am I to say and judge someone who works hard, is a world champion twice, has a family, trains as much as he does, and having you there as well, you know, it's again like a massive testament to what you said before. Work ethic, commitment, resilience, being a good person, discipline, and perseverance. So I have to say thank you so much for bringing that up, because people are very quick to judge and, you know, can point the finger and say, oh, this and that, but look at everything that he's done, and yourself too.
Yeah. And as you said, you just touched back on it there. There is no secret to it. It just comes down to hard work. Like, obviously, you know, preparation is huge as well. You have to plan, you know, like anything, you know, if it's a fight, you gotta look at the problem. You gotta look at the fire, look at the threats he poses. You gotta look at solutions for those problems. You gotta put a plan in place. You gotta come up with these strategies to beat this opponent. You gotta put it to practice in the gym. You'll have some success with certain things. You'll have failures with other things. You make a few adjustments. You go back to the drawing board. You do it again, and eventually you come up with this plan that you think is going to succeed, and then you throw it out into the world, or into the cage on in my part, and you roll the dice on it. When you're in the cage, you get live feedback as well, and I think that transcends sport. You know, that would be the same in life. You know, you make mistakes, you do stupid things, you learn from mistakes, you come back, you improve on them. Same with business. It's all the same. You know, you have to have you have to be willing. I always say to my kids as well, you have to get used to failing. You know, you look at the failures, you find a solution, you go back in and you find a solution to that problem, you put it back to practice, and hopefully you succeed, you know.
Hey, beautiful kings and queens, are you right now in a space where you're ready to take action and build your business, yet you struggle where to begin? You're feeling stuck and overwhelmed with all the things you need to do when it comes to building a business. Build the business of your dreams in the online space and be in the arena of all the incredible, great humans out there that are building 7 to 8 figure businesses. Now, the foundations that I truly believe in that you are going to learn through this membership is sales, marketing, content creation, social media, money mindset, and of course, branding. Now, all of this will be accessible for you to be learning what is currently hot right now in the market and how you can create your own business and build a successful business in the online space. All you have to do right now is DM Empire in my Instagram or email myself and my team, and we will get the ball rolling so you can have your empire and start making moves in the online space. Going into business, superhuman. You've built a lot of, you've got a training camp. Tell me more about, you know, the path you've now taken, you know, your goals as well. Obviously there's a massive, and this is why I love, obviously because I'm a business mentor, goals is to be on stage as well, speaking to people. This is what I love about athletes and coaches. There's this like relentless in the mindset behind what you guys share and the similarities of being a fighter and now starting a business. Tell me more about your journey in that and the similarities you see in that.
So obviously, you know, when obviously doing mixed martial arts, I found it gave me, I always use this analogy that when you're doing jiu-jitsu, okay, somebody's trying to choke you unconscious, trying to basically take the life away from you. So when you learn to get comfortable in that kind of situation, everything just seems to be a little bit easier. So whether it was, you know, trying to set up a business, or, you know, whether it's, you know, going in or looking for a promotion. So when you do jiu-jitsu and you go to that dark place and you realize that you can be comfortable and you can perform in that dark place, I found that allowed me to carry that into my different businesses. You know, at the moment I'm involved in a couple of businesses, and I find as well, I was a fighter. Yeah, I feel you have to evolve as well over the years. You can't be a professional fighter for your whole life. So you'll have to, you know, unfortunately my career was cut short and I was forced to make a decision, but everyone will retire at some point. And then you have to move into something else. I moved into coaching. I don't think I'm going to be able to coach for the rest of my life either, you know. I'll coach, I'll have a gym, and I'll, you know, probably employ younger coaches to do most of the work, and I'll sit back. So I'm eventually moving into evolving and moving into new industries. And now I've set up my equipment company, which is called Shadow Fight Goods. It's an equipment brand. Our goal is to innovate on what products we have, the products that are currently on the market. So all the equipment that's out there at the moment, it's kind of just the same old stuff. Nobody's evolving. Nobody's trying to improve on what's there. We released our S1 16-ounce sparring glove, and we've added a lot of new features to it. We've resized the glove. We made sure there's enough protection between the knuckle and the point of impact. We, you know, protected the thumb. A lot of the hand injuries happen with the glove, so we added more protection in the thumb. So all of our equipment and Shadow Fight Goods, our goal is to innovate on what's currently on the market. We set that up a couple of years ago. We set up through when COVID started, and we were knocked back for 2 years. So the same again, you know, we could have easily gave up just partnering in, but, you know, we're stuck to my guns. We evolved through COVID, and we made some adjustments with the business, and now, you know, to be honest, this year will be our first normal year of kind of trading. So it's exciting times for Shadow. I also have I'm also involved in an amateur MMA organization in the States called Duke MMA. So it's a collegiate amateur mixed martial arts. So we take all the colleges in the US, and we pit them against each other, and we're forming a big league. We're going to hopefully do a show towards the end of the year. We've done a 4 show, same again during COVID. We've done it in the March of 2020, I think it was, and then we done it in the February. I think COVID, we all went into lockdown in March. So we done our first big events, and then the colleges closed for nearly 18 months. So we had a big setback, but we're back now, and hopefully in December to do our second event, and then hopefully do a season next year. So along with the gym, the equipment company, the MMA show, we're also involved with managing fighters as well. A company called One Hit Management. So I'm involved in plenty of different things, and you know, but I'm also involved in everything that I do love. So same again, I'm willing to do those extra hours because I enjoy it, and I feel I'm giving something that's not currently out there on the market with all the companies.
It's insane, and I love. I mean, I feel like you're not retiring anytime soon. Just saying.
No, yeah. I'll be doing this. I'll be back on. We'll do another podcast in 20 years. I'll be, you know, in a heap here, but still going. Yeah, sure.
I don't know. I feel like I had this beautiful. I don't know if you know Dr. John DeMartini. He jumped on my podcast a few weeks ago.
I think I've seen a clip of it. Yeah.
Yeah. He just blew my mind. You know, someone who's, you know, come from a poor background like myself, dyslexic, couldn't read or write, and he's now traveling around the world on a ship, teaching, doing what he loves. And I asked the question of, like, I get a lot of people say to me, you know, tomorrow, like, you need to slow down, you do too much, you work a lot. I just feel like I'm in my passion project. I know what I'm doing is my mission. I don't get sick. I don't get tired. I mean, yes, every now and then there's a moment of like, fuck, I'm a little bit exhausted, but, you know, we're doing what we love, and you're you're a perfect example of that. Like, from professional coach, expanding your business, evolving, you know, it just goes to show that there is no limit to what you do. Age is just a number.
Yeah.
And because you love what you do, and it's not just about the money, not just about the fame, it's to help others. And do you resonate with that?
Yeah, 100%. You know, if you're chasing the money all the time, sometimes you feel like it goes away from you. But if you do something you love, you feel like you're, you know, for me, I nearly feel like I was kind of born to do this. Although I've done a lot of other things, I nearly feel like, MMA kind of chose me and coaching chose me. I always felt I was a good coach. I always found that I could get my point across. I always found that I could get the best out of people when I was coaching, even when I was coaching the younger kids and stuff. Some of the kids that are coaching now have already gone on to become world champions and are fighting in the UFC and are doing amazing things. But I feel like I was nearly destined to do this. It is crazy that I think we nearly fall into roles, unknown to ourselves. And now I feel like, I've been very successful as a coach, and I feel now I need to let people know, what we're doing with shadow fight codes in regards to, like, I mean, as a fighter, I've had all the injuries, and I've had, surgery on my knees and my back and my shoulders, everything is gone. And but now what I want to do is I want to produce equipment to fix all those problems, because it's needed. You know what I mean? So this is my new calling with the amateur MMA with Nuka. There's nobody doing it in the colleges in the US, and it's needed, and it will be done. And I feel that I can do it better than anyone else. So this is where I'm going now. I just feel like I'm being guided into these different on these different paths, I suppose.
I mean, from my experience, I have that your fighting days. You're right. There is nothing out there that has, no one's done what you're doing right now. And you're right. People need to hear more about, like, preventing injuries, being able to last longer in fights. So if there's anything I can do to support you, please let me know. Yeah. Maybe if I need to come to Dublin and test it out, I'll do it.
I'll get some gloves over to you. We just recently released our 14 ounce S1 14 ounce lights, and therefore, for women, and therefore our guys, the sizing is a little bit better to protect the knuckles. So I'll get you a pair of gloves, and I'll let you try them out. No doubt at all.
I do still, I have it in me. I promise.
Yeah. Not about
I really, really do.
Yeah.
Before, I've got 2 more questions. I hope you're all right to stay on.
I'm fine.
Thank you so much. You're the sweetest. Obviously, I bring this up because very much like anyone who goes through identity shifts, I went from professional actor, dancer, fitness model, business coach, and then so forth. Jay-Z did the same. Rapper, audio engineer, agency. Look where he is now. You're doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Advice to people who are, in a transitional phase, who have gone through setbacks, injuries.
Yeah.
People have told them you can't go on. People have told them, like, what are you doing? What advice would you give people to that, where there's other people telling them they should stop?
Yeah. You know what? So, like, just go back to my story. Like, I was hell bent on hitting the UFC. Unfortunately, I was told to stop, basically. And one thing I checked, I got second opinions. I done kind of my due diligence. Can I go this route? Can I go that route? And fortunately, sometimes you will have to, there will have to be a shift, a change of path. And you have to trust the process. When you're in that kind of transitional period, I would always say, if you love it, if it feels right, trust it. Trust your gut. People, we don't trust our gut enough. For me, I could have easily probably went back into a job where I probably would have made more money early on, and it would have been more comfortable, and it'd have been safer option. But my gut was telling me to do what I loved. You know what I mean? To follow this road. It was definitely a little rockier, but in the long run, it worked out for me. And I would try and stay in the same fields. For me, I went from a fighter to a coach, which is a natural kind of progression, to an equipment, they set up an equipment company, which is the same field. It's just, it's a little bit off. So I'm still in that industry that I love, that I will always love, and I'm just finding other opportunities to uh, to move into different areas of that industry. You know, so I was the firer, then I'm the coach, now I'm the equipment company owner and the organization owner as well. Um, for me now, I get up every day. I'm still involved in that sport that has been so nice to me and it's been so dear to me. And I I plan on making the sport better than it was when I started. I didn't have all the equipment. I didn't have my 16-ounce gloves. I fractured my hands and dislocated thumbs and stuff like that. I've had all the injuries, but now the equipment that me and my business partner are designing hopefully going to prevent that. You know what I mean? The college MMA, they don't have amateur MMA in the colleges at the moment. Look at every other amateur sport or college sport in America. It's huge. We're providing a huge service for those young college athletes that want to compete and showcase their skills. So if you're if you're coming out of college and you're getting a degree in whatever business it may be, find a business that you love, that you're gonna, that's gonna allow you to work 7 days a week, because you're gonna need to work 7 days a week, and then you set up the company, and then you branch off in another area. So find something you love, and find little areas that little areas that you can move into and branch out. I just take from there. I don't know where I'm gonna be in 10 years, but I'm confident enough. I'll be doing something with mixed martial arts, whether it's it different, maybe more management, or maybe I don't know what it'll be, but it'll be something to do with mixed martial arts, and I'll be giving back to the sport that's gave me so much.
Oh, and I have to just say before I ask one question, thank you for being humble, so kind. Being on this podcast, it means a lot to me. The journey that I've been on versus, what other entrepreneurs have been on, I think it's just a beautiful thing just to bring up. Like, you've gone from the bottom up, and to be on this podcast, it means the world to me.
Yeah.
Hearing your story, you're so genuine. You're such a beautiful soul. I know where you're going to be going is going to be incredibly successful. And I just want to obviously
Thank you.
Just sharing how grateful I am. I have to say that just because, people have this perception that, the more you get to the top, people are cunts. Sorry for saying the C word.
Yeah.
But I just think, you being on this podcast, your journey, how genuine are and where you're going, and the fact that you're giving back, it just goes to show the testament to you are as a person and how genuine are, and there are good people out there. So I just wanted to say a massive thank you.
I appreciate that. Really enjoyed the podcast. And yeah, as you said, I think people do think as you climb the ladder, people look at you in a different light. But, I'm the same person that grew up in Ballymun, had a crazy upbringing, lived in a rough area, but I think it built me into the person that I am today. And I won't be changing anytime soon. I'll just keep getting up every morning, keep putting the graft in, and who knows where I'll be in 10 years' time.
Hopefully visiting in Australia so we can show you the ropes here and get a better tan.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about that. As I said, we had Ireland had its 1 day of summer yesterday, and I got burnt a bit, so that's why I'm so red. So I think Australia would be too much for me. But yeah, I definitely like to get over to Australia. I haven't been there yet, so it's on the bucket list to get out. See Australia. It's beautiful. So appreciate your time, and hope your listeners find something that they can take from this podcast and implement it into their lives. Because the tools that I've got from mixed martial arts, and the tools that I've implemented has allowed me to get where I am. I think if you even implement half of them, you'll be a success in whatever field you're in.
Oh, and we've got one last thing. We always ask, the last question we ask for every guest we get on, and that is, if you were to give that one key to everyone listening, that one key to them opening their keys to their queendom,
Yeah.
what would that key be?
I always say, not being afraid of failure. Like I've said this in the podcast a few times already. The fear of failure for some people will stop you from even starting. The fear of failure, or failing when you do start will sometimes stop you from returning. So what I try and get all my guys used to, and it's more my kids. My kids do sports and stuff now, and I want them getting comfortable with failing. When you fail, you look at what went wrong, you find a solution, okay? You implement that solution. If it works, you move forward. If it doesn't work, you look for another solution, and eventually you'll find the answer and you move forward. So not being afraid of failing and embrace the failure, look at the failure, find the solution and move forward. And I think if you do that, the sky's the limit. There's no stopping you if you can get used to that and keep moving forward. So that's what I've done, and I think if your listeners can do that, we'll be looking at plenty more entrepreneurs and successful business people. Yeah.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Owen Roddy, thank you so much for being on Case of the Queendom.
Yeah.
Everyone else listening, make sure you follow this incredible legend on Instagram, and also your beautiful equipment company. Did you want to quickly drop that in?
The companies I'm involved in, obviously my gym, SBG Charlestown, you'll get us on Instagram. My equipment company, Shadow Fight Goods. So if you want really high quality equipment that's going to protect you better than all the other equipment, hit us up. Follow us on all the colleges in the US. If you just want to follow Luca MMA for our amateur MMA league, college league is going to start next year. My management company, One Hit Management as well. So for you start looking for advice, looking for guidance, hit us up. I'm here on social media, Coach Owen Roddy. If you need to chat to me, hit me up, and if I can help you in any way I can, I always will. And I wish everybody all the success in whatever career or whatever ventures they're in. And, I'll see us all at the top. Yeah. Cheers.
And I am your host, Tamara Meyer, with Case of the Queendom, with another episode dropping next Wednesday. Thank you so much, Coach Owen Roddy.
All the best. Cheers.